On today's episode of the podcast, we talk about an easy way to separate yourself from the competition. We also cover some inspiring marketing ideas that you can steal for yourself and your clients. And then also the subtle hint that we're giving to clients to not hire us. We're going to pull that apart, pick that apart, go over that. And also we go over a breakdown of Wistia's hackathon and how this thing has led to some massive wins in their business, and how I think a lot of us can try something very similar in our own video businesses. What is up, friend? Hey, I am Ryan Coral from Studio Sherpas, and this is the Grow Your Video Business podcast, the show for corporate and commercial filmmakers, where we talk about the business of production. We cover topics like sales and marketing, mindset and process, stuff that's helped me build my own 7-figure video production business. And if that sounds like you, then you are in the right place. And I'm so glad that you're here. I'm very excited for today's topic. You'll hear in the intro when I formally introduce Chris how just thrilling it was for me to be able to land him as a guest. But if you're not making a living as a full-time corporate commercial filmmaker, or you're just not happy with what you're charging, or you want a constant stream of new leads coming in, then I want you to check out my 6-figure filmmaker workshop. It is my best attempt at summing up my 17 years of running a production company and the things that I've done to consistently land profitable 5-figure jobs, and even some 6-figure jobs along the way. You're going to walk away from this 80-minute workshop with some very actionable to-dos to help you build and scale your video business. And the best part, you ready for this? It is completely free, my friend, and you can access it today by going to studiosherpas.com/workshop. I mean, does it get any better than that? All right. With that, let's jump into this jam-packed episode with Chris Savage from Wistia. Here we go. What's up, friends? Hey, welcome to this episode of the show. Today, I'm very excited to have Chris Savage, who is the co-founder and CEO of Wistia. Hopefully you're watching this episode, not just listening. But if you don't know Wistia is a leading video hosting platform that gives marketers everything they need to get bigger results from their videos and podcasts. I personally have been using Wistia. I think you guys have been around for longer than a decade, right, Chris?
We've been around for 16 years.
Okay, yeah. First off, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
I'm just like ready to dive in here. It's like
That's
super
fine
weird.
with me.
There are certain things that I have fanboyed about in my career as a video production person. Apple was like number one. That is how I got into this world. I fell in love with Steve Jobs, his vision, how he built his company, the culture that he created, all that stuff. And then I found out more about him, and I was like, oh, I guess he wasn't the perfect guy after all. But a lot of things I loved about him. Was an Apple fan, was always in line to get the newest, latest stuff. But I would have to say that I feel like such a nerd, but I have loved Wistia, the brand that you guys have created that is Wistia. I heart it. And I told you earlier, I was like contemplating, should I wear the Rock t-shirt? You know, it's like, do you wear the Rock t-shirt to your favorite band when you go? Or do you like try to be cool and just be like, no, I'm too cool for that. I decided to go with it. And so here we are. I'm a little uncomfortable, but I'm so happy and thrilled and just a little nervous to have you on the show, because I love the product that you guys have created, but the culture, I think, around your business and how you guys have, I think, added a lot to our business and in just in the world with your software. So congrats.
Well, yes, thank you. I mean, that's such a kind thing to say. And the second I saw just the corner of that shirt, the peeking up of like the Wistia Metallica shirt, it brought so much joy to me. Also because I've worn that shirt so much that like this, it looks like you still have some silver on there. Yeah, mine's all gone. It's just like a white remnant of like what once was. And you say, you have at least one other Wistia?
I have one
shirt,
other,
right?
yes, another
Okay.
Wistia shirt, and they're two of my favorite. Like that's one of the small things that I just love. What you guys have done is like, not only is it cool, like I love Metallica. I mean, I still like them, but growing up, I was heavy metal band in high school and all that stuff. So when I got sent this, I was like, you got to be kidding me! Like two of my favorite things like mixed together, and it's cozy, right?
Yeah, it's funny that piece of it was the decision we figured out really early. That seems like it doesn't seem like a big deal now, but at the time we're like, people were making startup shirts and we're like, all these startup shirts suck. Like you don't actually want to wear them. They're not actually comfortable.
Stiff,
and so
too big.
Yeah. So we went for like the fanciest t-shirt we could get our hands on. That was the softest thing possible. And we figured if we gave people like crazy soft shirts, the goal was not to have you wearing it as like an ad. That's fine. The goal was that you'd open your drawer and you'd pick which shirt to wear, and you'd think, well, that Wistia one's just so comfortable. Like it's such a nice, I think I should wear that. And if that brand impression can add up, it makes a big difference, right? Mm-hmm. That's funny. We actually have new shirts, which now I'm realizing I have to get you one of these.
That's
I
my whole reason for having you on the show.
Here.
Oh, of course.
Grateful Dead style for those listening, with Lenny, our mascot, as the Bears.
That's amazing.
And on a tie-dye. This was done by one of our designers basically as a joke. And then everyone loved it so much, we printed them up. And then I wore one out in public, and within about I'm not kidding you. Within about 10 minutes, this guy comes up to me and he points at my shirt and he goes, dude, look at your shirt. I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, look at my shirt. He's wearing a tie-dyed shirt. He's like, do you like the Grateful Dead, man? Are you a Deadhead? And I was like, what are you going to say? Like, I mean, I've listened to the Grateful Dead. I like them. They're not like I'm not like a Grateful Dead stan, but I like them. I love the shirt, obviously, because it's the Wistia shirt. I love the play on it. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm a Dead fan. And he's like, oh, Dead and Company's coming in like 2 months, man. You want to go? You want to go to this? And I'm like, what just happened? Like, it was one of those funniest things because he's like, he doesn't know Wistia, but the right tie-dye shirt that looks like a Dead shirt, you'll make some friends. And it happened so fast that now it almost makes me nervous to wear the shirt because people talk so much about it.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That's so good. I mean, I get people that think I'm wearing a Metallica shirt.
Yeah,
they don't read it and they're like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, it's similar, but
this is just like a badass video marketing platform, man. Like, they've released some music. Right. It's not as popular. They didn't sue anyone over Napster or anything, but they're cool. Right. It's good.
Oh my gosh. How do you explain to somebody, so you're in an elevator and you're wearing your Grateful Dead-ish shirt and they're like, oh, Wistia. What is that? What's your pitch? How do you explain what Wistia is, what you guys do?
Yeah, I mean, so I just say we're a video marketing platform, and then usually people say, well, what does that mean? And I say, we just try to help you like make, edit, market, and learn from your videos. And that means everything from, like, as you know, hosting, some collaboration tools. We recently launched some editing tools, distribution. We have a product called Channels. You can host podcasts with us. And if you go too far into the details, no one gets it. But like the high level thing, people can understand. A video marketing platform that makes this like question mark in their head, like, well, what does this solve? Like, how does this positioned against YouTube, as an example? Mm-hmm. It's like, well, we're not positioned against, we're positioned with. Like, people use Wistia and YouTube. Like, YouTube is a social media platform, as is LinkedIn and TikTok and Instagram, and we're the thing that's going to help you today really a lot with the stuff on your site, but then also there's like, more tentacles we're sending out into helping you in those other areas too.
Yeah, love that. So how is that different from how you described it 16 years ago? Was it just a video platform, or was the
great. When we started, it was sunny. So my background is in film and video. Not that I have a huge background in it, but I did study it in college, and I did work on a feature film, feature documentary, and we got a regional Emmy. Pretty cool.
There you go.
And I got into Wistia right after that, but the initial problem we got traction with for solving was helping people securely collaborate around video. And our first customers were not actually, our first customer was a medical device company that was sending DVDs around the world and like, hey, you can use this thing. It'll be instantaneous and secure. And you can comment on the videos that you're making of this like surgery you're doing with this medical device. And you can learn how to make this stuff better. And then we got production companies on board and all these other folks. That's how we started. Yeah. And then eventually it flipped towards helping marketers because those same customers started saying, hey, we want to embed this stuff on our website. Yeah. And then from a positioning standpoint, it's kind of interesting because like for a long time now, we've been helping folks with that, but no one understood what this meant back then. Like video marketing really wasn't a thing. So we had to position as the simplest possible thing, which was video hosting. And then you compare us to a bunch of competitors we used to have that have all died. And Wistia did way more than just hosting your video, and everyone else just hosted the video. And so that was the way the positioning worked. And now the market's big enough, it's clear enough, we can actually position this way.
Yeah. I love what you said when you were describing it earlier. You said, help you make videos, edit, market them. And the very last thing that you said was learn from your videos. What do you mean when you say learn from your videos?
Yeah. I mean, look, every video you make has a goal, and the goal is you can figure out what the goal is by looking at the context where you want to put the video. So you're putting the video on a landing page. Probably you want more people on that page or less people to bounce or more people to convert. And that, when you're looking at all the elements of the page, you're going to look at the title. Is it the right title? You're going to look at the text. You're going to look at the button copy. And one of the things you should look at is the video itself. And you should try to figure out with this page having video and with it not, which gets a higher conversion, which gets a lower bounce rate. And let's go into the world where we say it is a higher conversion. You can start to look at time on page. Is the conversion different if people are actually watching the video? What parts of the videos are keeping people engaged? Which parts are not? And on a video by video basis, by looking at that context, you can understand what's working. And then in Wistia, because we track how every viewer watches every video second by second, you can actually understand the interest by person. And so, one of the things that goes unsaid a lot, but is true, is that most B2B businesses do not have websites with huge amounts of traffic.
Right.
That's the norm, right? And you don't need a huge amount of traffic if you're selling expensive things. Like if you get the right people, right. you don't need that much, and they can turn into a really big business. Yep. So that value of each view is really, really important. And so what we do there with the heat map is helping you understand, okay, of these people, who is actually watching what are they skipping, what are they rewatching? You can aggregate that to get the video engagement overall and all that data. And then we make it easy to take that data and put it into other sources so you can do that kind of context understanding stuff that I was telling you about. So you can push it to Google Analytics, or you can push it into a marketing automation platform. And it's understanding interest and intent and understanding who the right people are. There's a cycle. So the next time you make a video, hopefully it's more engaging, or it's in the right place, or it has a better thumbnail, or it has better calls to action or whatever. And that's the learning that I mean. It's like all that analytics and understanding so that you can really change what you're doing and hopefully be more effective.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one of the advantages that I noticed early on, and I wish I could remember how long I've been with Wistia, but it's been a long time. And when I learned, I watched the little demo that was on the website, and, somebody was like kind of showing you, here's the heat map. You can watch where people falling off. You can also put a call to action, at the end of the video, or you could have like a, what do you call them? Like a pop-up text.
Like annotation. Yeah.
Yeah. Annotation. Where you can click it.
Yeah.
Like you can click on the, like that, like stuff like that. I from a marketing perspective, I was like, this is what our clients need. And these are ways that they can tell if this video is working. I remember being in sales conversations with clients that were looking to spend, tens of thousands of dollars on a video. And they were asking, well, how are we going to, outside of views, because that's just the way that everybody would say, like, this video is a success. Is there anything else? And I was like, yes. Let me tell you about this software that we use and that you can use too. You can A/B test your videos. You can have a call to action where people at the end of the video, they can click, and then you can look to see how many people are clicking that. You can have a turnstile where somebody has to put in their email address before they watch the rest of the video. We released a short documentary a couple of years ago, and we said, hey, let's use Wistia. Like, let's have people, they can watch the video, the first, I think it was like 2 minutes of it or something like that. That's like a beautiful intro. It gives you a feel for what the film is. And it's like, hey, if you want the rest, you can watch it for free. Just give us your email. And that's our goal. Was we wanted to build up this email list because we had questions that we wanted to ask the people that were our ideal clients. So I just feel like there are so many things that can help our clients, right? Because I can just offer my video service and just say like, hey, hopefully you think the quality of our work is good enough. But if there's anything else that I can use to differentiate our business from another video company, like, hey, there are some tools and other things that you can do to maximize your ROI on this video, that can be a difference maker whether or not somebody hires our production company or somebody else's company.
I completely agree. And I think the other thing that I was thinking about as you're saying that is like, nobody wants or needs just one video anymore.
Right.
Like the game has changed, right? Like expectations have changed. We live in a world now, I think COVID really accelerated this, but you get to pick how you engage. You can listen to you can watch the video version, you can listen to the audio version, you can scan the text, you can scan the transcript. And, look at the biggest media properties that exist, and they often have the exact same information coming to you in totally different ways, right, to like align with how people want to consume. I think New York Times is a good example, but you can scan all the text, you could watch the video version, or you can get the daily. And the daily is like their podcast that has the 30 minutes on the, quote, most important story of the day. And I think that as those expectations shift, what your clients need is like they're going to need video all over the place, and they're going to need to be constantly changing it, and there's no guarantee that any particular video is going to work. So do you want them to go and try it by themselves once and then not be sure what to do next, or you want to help them along? And I think it's like that ongoing relationship can really, really change the game in terms of, if you're scaling the number of videos you're making with one client, obviously, and you're up to speed, the brand voice and all those things, like that can become a bigger account, but also it increases the likelihood of success for the client that the videos are really going to work.
Yeah, when you can use the data and let the data tell the story. I mean, it's like none of us got into doing video because we wanted to look at analytics or like what's the heat map, like where are people dropping off. But as we mature in our businesses, we realize that there are some things that we should probably know a little bit more about. So when we can help our clients in that way, I mean, that's just an amazing way to serve them. And if you can help a client get success, then guess what? Guess who they're going to call for their next project? It just makes sense to learn a little bit more about data and what are some of the, don't just throw this on YouTube. Like we made this incredibly powerful film for a client of ours. They're like a medical device company. They help people who cannot help themselves. And it is the work that they do is like you watch these films and hear these stories and like you cannot help but tear up because they're working with some really hard situations. They sent out a newsletter after we did the first video, and it was just this like, hey, click on this link, and it took me to their YouTube channel, which had 3 subscribers, and they're not controlling the narrative, the conversation there. If we could have went to their website and they could have a lot more control over the whole experience, right? Embedding it on their site, seeing gauging how interested, how much are people watching, just so much more. It hurt my heart a little bit to see them do this. And our follow-up is like, hey, here are some best practices, things that you should do. But for us to serve our clients in that way, that again, like there's a difference. That's a difference maker, and it's like you just got to find those little things along the way as a business owner that what can make the difference in the lives of our clients and potential clients, so that people can talk about us, remember us, think about us, and hire us.
I think that's right, and I also think that because video, it's weird. Like you've been doing this 17 years, I've been doing this 16 years. If you asked me 3 years ago where the market was, I would have told you, oh, it's getting pretty mature. Like it's big, it's getting mature. And now if you ask me, I would say it's pretty early stage. Like most people are just we were just unbelievably early. And most people are just getting started and are just figuring this out. And they will use video everywhere across their business. Like that is what's going to happen. Or they will be beaten by people who do, right? Like it's kind of that simple. Like if in a world where people want to do more research before they buy, they want to understand the brand before they buy, they want to understand the product or service before they buy. We're in that world. If you can't give people the option to watch, then you are missing out. It's that simple. And I still think, and also on the other side, anyone who's figured that out, they start looking and they realize, wait, the amount of video content I need to make is absolutely enormous. Like, how do I wrap my mind around it? How do I get my arms around this thing? How do I come up with like an actual strategy for making enough and updating it, keeping it up to date, and taking the best stuff that's working and doing more of that. And it is really, I think, kind of like, it's so exciting. And truthfully, it's also overwhelming for clients, for everyone to have that much. It's almost like design didn't exist and now it exists. It's like this like super fundamental thing. And that's what we see. So I think for anyone who you want to get in there and you want to help, and if you can do that, your clients are going to need more and more and more and more and more.
Yeah. I think you're spot on. It was the pandemic that forced everyone to like, well, we got to keep working. So how are we going to do this? Well, like, let's hop on a Zoom call. So everybody who wasn't used to or didn't want to do Zoom calls or video conferencing, all of those people's worlds got rocked because it was like, well, that's what we're doing. Right. So, be okay with it. And if you can find a Logitech webcam at this point in time, you're a really lucky person because those were out of stock for a long time. So I think, people got trained to like be more comfortable being on video. With what you're seeing and sensing, you're saying like people need to be making more video. There's just a much bigger need. So many people, it's like we are early on because there's so many more people that are like, we need to be doing video and we're a little bit more comfortable. Would you say that, I love, and I know you guys are all about like the humanization of our brands and really making them feel like these are people. We're not this, company. We are people that work at a company. So do you feel like the kinds of videos, as companies are realizing we need to be creating more kind of content, are you thinking that the majority of those include faces and people, and it's not like, the corporate, like here's our graphs and all of this stuff, or is it a combination of both? Like what are you sensing?
I think generally, this is true in a remote world for sure, and more remote world, which we're in. People on camera, we connect with people, right? Like we've been talking about influencers for years, right? Why? Like, why are we talking about influencers? Because there's all these people who have figured out they can build a giant audience just around their personality and what they're doing day to day. And there's a million niches that are like basically untapped, and you could basically take any intersection of any crazy thing and put it next to any other intersection, and you'll find someone there who's like, or if there isn't, there's an opportunity, right. But you'll find someone who's built an audience around this, and then you say to yourself, okay, that's how everyone's spending their time, that's how everyone's spending their attention on these platforms. Now, if they come to work, and they're going to do work on the same device, the same computer, the same room, the same desk, the same chair, do they now want to just see like only animated stuff, or do they want to see only corporate stuff? They'll see it. They'll watch it if that's the only option. But I just think it's kind of as simple. I like to think about it as like, if you're trying to decide if you're going to work with, two, let's say, let's try to go to a different thing. Like, you're working with an event planner, and you have like an event planning company A, event planning company B. They come back in, they have basically the same credentials. They're going to use the same location. They have it's the same price, but the one group of the people you talk to, you all actually feel like you enjoy talking to them. And the other one you don't. Who are you going to pick? It's all day long. All day long, you pick the one that you enjoy working with. Why? Because we care how we spend our time. And I think it's the same exact thing, which is like, if you're in a competitive space, like if you have a lot of competition, and there's no difference in the brand, there's no difference in the voice, or there's one company that feels like you can have a personal connection to and one that you don't, most people are going to pick, all other things being equal, they're going to pick the personal connection. So, I mean, it's a long answer, but I just think that like you're missing a huge opportunity if you're not using human beings to build that connection directly. It's the same reason why I think some of this like AI created video stuff where there's like fake people today is like deeply in the uncanny valley, and you watch it, it's the opposite of compelling. It is unsettling. And so, and I'm not saying it won't get good. It probably will get really good, and it'll start really expensive, and 10 years from now it'll be cheap. But like, it's just like, it's deeply unsettling. So do you want to work with a company that has the deeply unsettling content, or do you want to work with the one that feels like it's not that hard to figure out, I don't think. Right. But it does come back to actually the thing you said earlier, which is just fear of getting on camera. A lot of this is like, that's where it starts. Like, how am I going to look good? Or do people want to see me? Do they want to connect with me? Yeah. Do they like, oh, I don't like my voice or whatever? And the truth is, like, every human being is different. That's what makes the world interesting. You know, everyone's compelling if they can be themselves. So that's how I feel. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I agree, man. I think that's you bring up some really good points. And it just makes me believe more in what we do and what we're trying to do. So, thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Your software, I mean, when you guys launched 16 years ago, you probably knew, like, hey, this software is really good, right? This is going to help a lot of people. Our video hosting platform. Well, I hope that's the feeling that you
I don't know
had.
that we thought that, but
well, regardless, you knew that.
Eventually, I thought that, yes.
So here's just picture this: you're a filmmaker, or you're starting your business out, your video business, and you shoot, you know, your favorite thing. You're like, oh, this is really cool. This is what I'm going to put on my website. This is what I want people to see, and then I want them to hire me. They're going to see this video. They're going to be like, wow, this is really awesome. So let me hire these guys. It doesn't work like that 9 times out of 10. I wish that we could just post like our best piece of work, and that people would be like, yeah, I mean, all day long. The really annoying part is when somebody's looking at us in another company, and I know the work of the other company, and they're like kind of putting us in the same category. I'm like,
you don't understand.
Our work is like,
don't you understand? Look
like,
at the difference in quality.
So
Come on.
The lighting, there's mixed. Like, can't you see that? So when I think about the work that needs to go into putting ourselves out there, marketing our business, so many of us, we don't start our business because we love marketing and we want to tell everybody. We want to show them, and like we want to just be able to post online and for them to find it and see it and be like, okay, yeah, let's go with those guys, versus like really figuring out what does it look like to market in a way that's not, sleazy, but it's very authentic to who we are. When you guys were in this position, you had this awesome software, and maybe, whatever. It was great. What was the light bulb moment for you guys? Because I would say my initial experience was like, I saw this really cool explainer video, but I'm dating myself here. I almost can't remember. I'm assuming that what I was seeing was your people. I mean, it might have been you or Brennan.
Brennan, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing him in a lot of videos early on. Maybe it was him, but I just felt like there was this like, oh, these guys are not overly corporate. They seem kind of fun.
Yeah, I can tell you the moment. There was a moment that it all changed.
Okay.
And
hit me.
So we thought we had to be like professional because we're B2B. So we're like, we have to be formal. We have to be professional. Yep. You came to our website, and there was a management page, and it was like the 4 people who are in management. And it was like, my title said co-founder and chief executive officer. It didn't say CEO. It was like everything was elongated, It was like, here are the awards that I won in college. I've worked with companies like XYZ. They signed up like 3 weeks ago. Like it was just like pretending that we were a bigger company. And it was not. I mean, we were getting customers, but slowly. And then we changed. We hired 2 more people, so the management page was no longer accurate as to who worked at the company. We're now 6 people. And we're like, we felt bad. I felt really bad that like these other 2 people were not on the website. It just felt wrong. It's like before they were there, it was kind of okay to be like management and then imply there was other team members. And then when they were there, it felt really bad because there's no management. Like, it's 6 people. It's just chaos. You're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So we took a photo in front of this whiteboard because that was us being professional. And it was like not even cleaned. And then we took 2 alternative photos just for fun. So we took one of us with like our hands up, and we took another one like doing something goofy just for fun. There was no point. And so then we're going to go put on the website. My co-founder Brennan's making the site and changing the page. And he realized he could take the other 2 photos and he could make it so that when you hovered over us, it would switch. So it would look like the person was like jumping off the page. And then he made an Easter egg. So if you type dance, it would play music and it would play Girl Talk. I don't know if you remember the Girl Talk. It would play Girl Talk and they would just dance and like lights would come on the screen and stuff. And he did this for us, honestly. And it was actually someone on the team's birthday. So we're like, he's like, happy birthday, Jeff. Like, I did this for you. And we put it on Twitter and the thing went viral. And for the time, it was probably like, I'm going to say like 20 retweets or something. I'm not even sure they had retweets back then. It was like 20 RTs. And we got all this traffic. And we had a 2-week trial at that time. 2 weeks later, new customers. Like, the number of new customers went up. I'm like, that's so funny. And also, that was the first time we'd ever shown ourselves as being 6 people and our faces. No faces. Before that, it was just screencasts, no face. Because I didn't want anyone to see.
Oh, interesting.
We didn't want anyone to see that we were like 23. That was important.
Right.
So then we made a video that was just behind the scenes of us working in our office. And it was very clear we're human beings just doing the dumbest stuff. Playing ping pong, flying a remote control helicopter, but clearly having fun. And it said our names.
Right.
It was like a video version of that page. And that thing this is like second summer of Reddit or something. Gets on Reddit, top page of Reddit, front page of Reddit, all this traffic. Same exact thing happens. 2 weeks later, bunch of new paying customers. We're looking at each other and we're like, we've spent at this point 4 years or whatever. It's been a long time. I don't remember how long I've been.
Yeah.
We spent all this time trying to be professional, and the most unprofessional things we've released are getting us the most number of customers. And also, they have nothing to do with our product. Absolutely nothing.
Right.
And so we started to think like, maybe the problem is like people don't know they need the product. Maybe they're not like some people searching for it in ads and stuff, but like they need to have a connection to us. Like they need to care.
Yeah.
And so what if we just start making, I went back to that guy who made the video actually. And I said, I think you should come on halftime. And he's like, what are you talking about? No, you guys, I just made a video for you. Like maybe you have one more video, but like, no, I'm like, no, man, we're going to make so many videos. It's going to be crazy. We're going to make videos teaching people how to do shit. We're trying to write all these blog posts. There's going to be video in everyone. There's this. He's like, you're nuts. You're nuts. And I'm like, come on, just try it. Let's just try it. So I convinced him to go halftime. And then this is Chris Levine, who's still on our team, head of production. And basically it all comes true. Just the more we make videos, the more we put our people on camera. And it started with just Brendan and I, and then we eventually learned whoever's the expert at the thing should be the person on camera. We just built that brand up. So whenever you saw it, I'm sure you saw all these different people who work at Wistia. You saw scenes of The Office. You probably saw Lenny, like our puppy, who is just like the cutest and silly and does stuff on command. And the whole thing, you felt like if you're picking Wistia, back to like, let's pick us versus Vimeo, right? Like head to head, pretty close on a lot of stuff. But if you want to pick one that you actually like working with or feel like you have a connection to the people, feel like you have a connection to the company, that's going to win. And it just has worked like unbelievably well.
Dude, I love that. I feel like you guys have done that so well, which is, I think the biggest reason why I just appreciate you guys. Solid product, but also just amazing culture. I have so many conversations, if we were to look at all of the websites of all of the filmmakers that listen to this show, I would say the percentage of people that don't even put a picture of themselves or their team or whatever, it's just so, it's way too high. And it makes me sad because I know the power that, you're not going to connect with everybody. Some people are going to look at my goofy face and be like, no thanks. Like this guy's just too
But it's funny as you say that you're saying a thing which I think is true. I don't know if I've ever heard someone say it this way with video, but that like we're afraid that people are going to judge us based on how we look. and it's actually they're going to judge us because they have no idea what we're capable of, basically, and like what we care about.
Yeah.
It's not about how we look. Like that's not it. But that's the normal human instinct is like, oh, people won't like me. I'm not attractive. I shouldn't be on here. When the truth is, if you have something compelling to say, or you have something to teach somebody, or you have a unique skill set, that's unbelievably attractive. And I just think that is like, that's what gets missed. And it's really unfortunate, especially I notice people who are so compelling in person and then they don't actually make videos and put them online. And it's like, the gap is, you could just see the gap. It's like, if you could take what you are and just set it free, it will work. But you have to get comfortable doing that. It feels like a different thing.
Yeah. I would say for the majority of the filmmakers that listen to this show, if you ask them why they got into this work, it was like, man, I want to tell stories, man. People are so interesting. Their stories are so cool. And that's how I felt. I was like, man, like, and I don't think most people are like that good of storytellers. So if we can sit down with them and pull out the heartbeat of their brand or their story, pull that out and help them articulate that. I don't care what you look like. I mean, I've heard some of the most incredible stories of people that look really different than me, but it doesn't, it's like what's inside. It's like, if you can get that out. And so like we do that well for our clients, but we do it poorly for ourselves. And we're just afraid to put ourselves out there, or we're afraid that people are going to see that, oh, it's just like one guy, just one, like he says he's this corporate filmmaker and that he can do all these massive jobs. That how's he going to be able to handle this? You know,
little do they know that people, a lot of people, that's exactly what they're looking for. Because they think that one person is going to be able to turn this around faster. If we have an amazing relationship and we're going to be making sense of it, I'm going to try to acquire their business, or I'm going to try to get them in here all the time, or, you know, whatever. And like, that's the thing that's so easy to forget. Like I always, like startups have this problem where they're afraid to put their message out there, or they're afraid to make it obvious how small they are. It's like, no, don't you understand? There are people who are specifically, that's why they're going to sign up. They want to use the thing first. They want an advantage. They're willing to put up with the bugs of your product because they believe that they will be able to do something that no one else is doing yet, and they're going to see it early. And I just think that like that's the mindset you have to have, because that's the truth. Like the true thing is that's what lots of people like. And some people, if they're looking for like the massive agency and you want to be the massive agency, fine. You can position yourself like that, and you can put yourself and all the other freelancers you work with on your site, and you can show it off. Like, it's not that hard to do.
Right. Yep.
But, like, I think people underestimate how much we actually want the nimble, small, like, feisty, smart person to go after stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I hope that serves as an encouragement for people to just say, you know what, maybe I should at least put my face there. But then I would even say like a quick intro of like why you do this work. Like that's your differentiator. Do that for yourself. Like we're doing this for our clients, but do it for yourself. It doesn't have to be this gorgeous product. Do it with your cell phone. Put your face, put your heartbeat out there. Let people see, hear, and understand like why you care about this kind of work. I think it's super important. Gear Squad, I mean, dude, I saw the first episode of that show. I was laughing the entire time. I'm like, these guys, we share the same sense of humor. 110, 100, amazing. Yeah. I mean, we followed Sandwich Video for a long time, and when you guys partnered up with them, I was like, oh, come on, like this is going to be fantastic. I thought that was brilliant. We sat down with our team. We watched the series of videos. We picked them apart, and we talked about them. It was really, really good. I love that you guys, the way that you guys embody your own marketing and you create stuff that is just helping get exposure to the Wistia brand. I think if there's a way for filmmakers, corporate production studio owners to encapsulate that, like how can, really small, nimble teams do cool stuff? Maybe it doesn't have to be a series of videos, but maybe it's a video. Like what sort of challenge might you give a company like ours? It's like, we don't have time to make our own videos and our own marketing stuff. We've got to be, we're so busy with client work. But I would say, and don't let me put words in your mouth, but I would say that the marketing stuff that you guys, like these little series, I shouldn't call them the series is that you've put together have been really, really helpful in your overall branding. Can you speak into any of that?
Yeah. So, I mean, the stuff that you just mentioned, for people who don't know, 110-100 is a feature documentary that's about the link between budgets and creativity. So we work with Sandwich Video, and we gave them a budget of $111,000, and they made 3 videos for us, 3 ads at different budgets. One with a $1,000 budget, one with a $10,000 budget, one with a $100,000 budget, and then we documented their creative process and released this thing. And and then Gear Squad versus Dr. Boring is an animated series we released during COVID about a bunch of production equipment that comes to life at night, and they're trying to make
ridiculous
they're trying to make the videos that they make for this like company they work for like fun and engaging, and then evil Dr. Boring is constantly trying to stop them. And these things, I think, like, what it is, it's kind of simple, and it's very related to what we were just saying, which is, if we didn't actually use video to like differentiate ourselves, grow our business, help with everything, onboarding, landing pages, internal comms, everything, then people look and it's like, well, you're selling me a thing telling me it's going to help me, but like, why doesn't it help you? Like, it's like, why aren't you doing it yourself?
That's good.
And it's kind of that simple. And I think that, back to your point, that's what people think. Like, if you don't have a video that markets yourself, then maybe you don't really believe in it, or like, if you do make one that markets yourself, you get the meta benefits like instantly. It's like, oh, look at this clever thing this company is doing to market themselves doing the thing they say that they do. And so actually, even with our player, when we first came out and we were really pushing hard on marketing, the big question was like, why Wistia versus YouTube?
Yeah.
Because it was unclear. Like, YouTube had not built out all monetization yet. It wasn't clear that it truly was a social network. It was clear to us because they're going to monetize with ads. It was going to be about like keeping people on there watching. But in any case, I would get comments from people like, I can't go viral if it's not on there. I was like, all right, well, we'll prove them wrong by actually doing it. And so we make all this content, and you're seeing it. It's all hosted by Wistia. It's all on our site. And you realize you're just sharing links. It doesn't matter where the link is. And ultimately, the amount of people who have seen 110-100 is ridiculous. And it doesn't matter that it's on our site. In fact, it's a huge advantage because the traffic actually converts and like people get accounts. It's the same thing as the team page we were talking about earlier. Like, it's kind of that simple. Like, you make the stuff, some people explore, they learn what you are, and then they sign up and buy. So it's like, it's pretty easy to do. But I just think, the challenge I would say is like, it's kind of, the whole thing, the old adage of like the cobbler's kids get no shoes thing. I think to flip it around and say, like, if the cobbler's kids have sick shoes, then everyone wants those shoes. Where'd you get those shoes, buddy? I want those shoes. And I think it's like, I think it's just that. I think it's just, if you make sweet stuff promoting yourself, you get the benefit of it actually promotes yourself, and it proves to people that you can make that kind of content.
Mm-hmm. That's really good. Do you guys have like your own internal budget for time or money where you're like, we're going to set aside this percentage because I think somebody listening to the show might be like, okay, yeah, cool, Ryan,
yes.
cool, Chris.
We do that, yes. So we basically, for the content we make, we have like a percentage of it that we say is like for brand awareness and brand affinity, and this is the type of stuff that would fall into that bucket, which is like, we're trying to make this connection to our audience stronger, and we're trying to make the audience itself like a little bit bigger. Yeah. And the interesting thing is, like, we've actually done lots of promoting this stuff, like advertising this content, which seems a little crazy at first. It's like, you're telling me you're going to advertise people to come watch this like documentary you just spent $111,000 on? I'm like, yes, that's what I'm telling you. And it works. Yeah. Like, that's the craziest part, is that it actually works. Like, people come and they sign up and they get additional materials, and they poke around. They create a soapbox or something. Then eventually they figure out, oh wait, I love this. It just all adds up, and then it's blended. To be clear, we also do ads that are just like, here's our product. Do you want to buy it? And people say yes, but it's a mix of those things. And then we also just like, so that it's because I think my business is not just content, like it's content and it's software. Yep. And so it can feel different when you're a company, when what you're doing day to day is making content, to like have, it's not a separate thing, but just to make the point so that everyone understands, like we do hackathons at Wistia, and we do them at least twice a year, where we basically give people about 48 hours to work on whatever they want, self-organizing teams, and people make awesome stuff, and we do demos. And then there's awards that are given out that are like usually about like living our values and stuff like that. And there's rewards too that are usually like new T-shirts and fun stuff. It's more about you want to win the audience choice. But in any case, the point I'm making is we purposely create the time that's for ourselves. And the amount of things that we have built, software we have launched, content we've made, the amount that has come out of the hackathons is so ridiculous. Wow. Because what also happens in that time is that people will do something they've never done before. Mm-hmm. And now the rest of the organization understands that they're capable of that. And so there's been many, many times that something came out in a hackathon and you're like, you're telling me we can make the editing feature do all this crazy stuff? And I'm like, and you did that in 2 days? I'm like, yes. This changes our whole roadmap. Like this changes, and like that happens all the time, but without giving people the space, you can't see it. So I think it is a really healthy thing for any business to create that space. And I think on the content side, I think you can do it, by segmenting awareness versus conversion versus, product differentiation, all the different stuff. But business wise, I think you can do it by just giving people time.
I love it. That's really good. Really important to make the time, put in the calendar to say we're going to commit to doing this for ourselves. Chris, I have way too many more questions. This has been so good. I really appreciate your time today. Where can people follow along, find you, your podcast, some of your fun series?
Yes.
How do you say that?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. This is so fun. Happy to come
Super
back.
Fun.
But you can find Wistia, Wistia.com. You can find our series there. So Wistia Studios has all this kind of stuff that we were just talking about. The other one is Show Business. I don't know if you've seen that one, but that one, that's a cool one because we started it gated and you had to put an email to watch it. And then we released it. So now it's ungated, and then we've segmented, and now we've distributed on other platforms. But in any case, you can find all that stuff there. You can find me on Twitter at CSavage. I'm also on LinkedIn at Chris J. Savage, I think. And yeah, just I really appreciate being on. And my podcast, Talking Too Loud, wherever you listen to podcasts. Although we see a lot more people watching podcasts now. This is another interesting thing. I'm sure you see the same, but a huge amount of people consider a podcast today by watching it first. Yeah. And if they're convinced, then they'll subscribe. And if they're not convinced, then they don't. So it's just another thing to think about if you're working with your clients and trying to help them figure out like where they should be using video.
Love it. Cool, man. Appreciate you so much. Thanks for your inspiration. Congrats on all the success at Wistia. Keep it up, and hopefully we'll see you again.
Thanks, Ryan. So good to see you.
All right, my friend. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did recording it with Chris. He was amazing. Remember, the show notes include all the links and the things that we talked about. I'm curious to know, what's your big takeaway from this episode? If you want to leave a comment below this video, if you're watching it on Facebook or YouTube, or feel free to shoot me an email, Ryan@Studio Sherpas, and just say, man, this was my big takeaway. I want to try one of these cool marketing things that Wistia is doing. I want to try some strategic approaches some strategic approach with my clients using some of the stuff that you and Chris had talked about, and possibly even using a software like Wistia to do some of this really cool stuff. If you like this show, do me a huge favor, grab a screenshot of this right now and send it over to a friend that you think could get something out of it. I would mucho appreciate that. I do know a tiny bit of Spanish, more than just mucho. So reach out to me if you need anything. You can follow us on Instagram at Grow Your Video Business. Don't forget about the free workshop at studiosherpas.com/workshop. If you haven't already checked that out, do so. And I'm going to see a bunch of you at the Onward Summit coming up, so I'm very excited about that. We're wrapping up things here. Summer in Michigan is one of my favorite things that exists, and so we're just trying to squeeze in the last couple of weeks before school starts and our kids get swept back up by school and all that. So anyway, appreciate you, love your guts, and hope to talk to you very soon. I'll see you on next week's episode. Bye for now.